What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This video I'm going to bring you our 6-month review of our new vehicle. Yes, I've had a lot of Subarus, but just hear me out here. So this is the 2023 Subaru Ascent. This is the Onyx edition. This does have the sunroof package. It's not like the Limited or anything along that lines. So previously we've had about every Subaru, STI, Forester, Outback. Kind of go through why we went back to this versus the Outback and Forester. And it'll kind of be a good comparison, but mainly it's going to be a review of this. I still wish I had my STI, but I have a family and I will go through that. Car seats are in here. This is basically just how I got done cleaning it, first wax, so I thought I'd get into it. So the first thing this thing compares to, let's say the Highlander, Pilot, Telluride, Volkswagen Atlas, Acura MDX, basically those are kind of in the same price bracket as these, depending on how you spec it out. So this one I think retailed for around $42,000, $43,000. We did lease this, but we do plan on buying it when the lease is up. They just had really good lease deals at the time, and interest rates were so high it made more financial sense to do that and use our huge Forester down payment because we had a lot of equity in it to essentially get a very, very low car payment for 3 years. And in theory, in 3 years, both of our kids will be out of daycare, which is very expensive. So we'll be able to, we can afford a higher car payment, but doesn't mean we actually want one. So a few things about this that I like, don't like. It is 3 rows, so it is a fairly large vehicle. I'll kind of go over the drivetrain and stuff first before we get into the interior. I do like the way the 2023 Onyxes look. Everything is black. So grill's black, all that's black. This used to be chrome. Everything is essentially blacked out. Rims are black. I actually kind of like the rims on this versus other ones, but everything back here, all the paneling and everything is all black. So I do like a lot, almost every color combination of this. This is one of the only ones that I could find that was blue. The actually dealership I use that I've been using for probably the past 10 years, they had to actually basically trade it from a different dealership. I do like the looks of it versus, I kind of like the way the Pilot looks better, but I could not get any dealership to work with me on anything with the Pilot. So Subaru's been always easy to deal with. So that's why I went back to this route. So it's about the same size as all the other ones. The Highlander, I think, was a little bit smaller. We did test drive that. And the Highlander, the Telluride, I just couldn't see anything out of those two vehicles. The Pilot had good visibility. The MDX was a no-go. The second I got in that thing, I was like, this thing, it felt like an Outback. So you have good ground clearance, 8.7. All-wheel drive. All Subarus have all-wheel drive except for one, the BRZ. But everything else is all-wheel drive, so I do like that. When it comes to the drivetrain, it does have a CVT. The CVT doesn't bother me. If you floor the actual gas, it does have a little bit of a hiccup at times where it will, because it's a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, it will kind of do some little hanging there in the RPMs, but it's their 2.4 liter. This is a very good engine. It's very smooth. It has a good noise to it. You have dual exhaust, so it does have a little bit of character to it versus the Highlander and Telluride. I don't feel like that it had any type of character there. So the engine sits way low in the engine bay, mainly for weight distributing purposes, and handles better, all that jazz. Easy to maintain. Oil filters right there, so if you wanted to do that yourself, it's extremely easy, but I think this is probably one of the better Subaru engines out there. Just very smooth. The only negative about this engine, awful gas mileage. I'm getting, I think this thing only has like 4,000 miles on it, but I'm getting like 19, 18. My commute to work is very short, like 5-6 miles, so probably doesn't get a chance to warm up before it actually gets there. But even on vacation, we just took this thing to Florida, and highway to Florida, so it was a pretty long trip, and I got maybe 20, 19, and it wasn't even that loaded up, so I don't know if that's just a break-in thing or if that's just how it goes, but that's nice. Love the ground clearance. It actually has decent brakes on it. I know people don't usually talk about brakes, but The brakes on this thing, I assume that's like 4-piston in the front, 2-piston in the rear, are actually pretty good. I do not like the Falcon tires, but you don't really get a choice when you buy a vehicle. So everything there is really good. When it comes to visibility, it's probably the best 3-row. We test drove the Highlander, Pilot, MDX. We didn't look at Volkswagen just because of how expensive they are to upkeep and actually work on. But it had the best visibility and overall feel for the vehicle, so it had a little bit of character. It is very bouncy and comfortable, so it is not sporty. I did like the MDX, how you could put it into more of a sport type mode, so it was a little bit sporty. So this thing is very soft riding, but it's supposed to be a 3-row family luxury vehicle, or not, I wouldn't call it luxury. It feels luxury to me, but a 3-row vehicle. Still responsive headlights. I know this review's all over the place, but I forgot to mention that earlier, but drivetrain is great. It has some good character to it with the turbocharged boxer engine, and you do get dual exhaust, which I like, and it has a little bit of noise to it, so it does have a little bit of I don't want to say it's like dad fast, because you know, and it's supposed to be safe and not dad fast, but I would consider it to be dad fast to me. Roof rails on the top, if you look at them up there, those come standard, so if you need to haul anything. That's it for the outside. Not a whole lot. It does have the blind spot monitoring and adaptive cruise, all that jazz. It does have the updated version, so you can see it's a little bit different than the older. It kind of has a little bit different look to it. The paint, the one negative about the exterior, the paint, I don't know if it's just this vehicle or just having kids, but I have so many little chips and dings and just like marks all over it already. Like it just seems like it's more prone to scratches and dings versus my other one. I literally just waxed this and I noticed a million different marks on it versus my previous vehicles. Okay, so interior. So doors open really wide. So if you have a family and you need to get people in and out of this thing, I think that's where this thing really shines. So the doors, not quite, the Pilot was about the same. The Highlander and Telluride did not open quite this wide. And I don't remember what the MDX did. I would assume that it opened pretty wide, but you have tons of room to get in there. You have a generous front row cabin here. It does have their standard 11-point Summit. All Subarus are going to this. It's in the WRX, it's in the Crosstrek, it's in all the newer ones. It's hit or miss for me. I wish that there was like buttons down here to control your HVAC versus there. But the software is getting a lot better. It doesn't hiccup as much as previous older models. It does have the Onyx seats. These are basically fake leather. I noticed they do get pretty dirty. So if you see, there's like, I'm sure there's dirt. Actually, it's probably sunscreen because we just got back from vacation not too long ago. But it does, it rinses off well, it cleans very well. It's easy to get in and out of. It's fairly low to the ground, but also has a good ground clearance. Does not have a power passenger seat. I think you have to get the limited for that, which pushes close to 50 grand. And honestly, I don't really care about power seats. Tons of storage on the interior. So you got decent sized cup holders. You got a storage area there. You have a good spot to put your phone. So this is where my phone rests most of the time. It has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Actually, I don't know about Android Auto, but the Apple CarPlay is wireless. I do not believe there's a way to do wired CarPlay. So if you are someone that must have wired CarPlay, look into that before you buy this vehicle. But the wireless works good. It is a little laggy when you're changing songs and just connecting in general, but I find it works pretty good. Some cup holders, decent size storage area here, plenty of room over there. And there's also one of these over on the driver's side, which I will show you. Overall, the interior is very nice, comfortable. It feels luxury to me, but it honestly feels more well-built than the MDX did. I did not like the MDX. I don't really know why, but but you have a storage area there. I usually put the keys there instead of where they're at now. Driver does have power seats, but again, I would be okay without that. So now let's get to the second row. This is probably where people, the second and third row are probably where people are looking at this for. So we have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So this is essentially, this is a fairly large car seat. This is a Nunarava. We never adjusted these seats at all before we installed it, so we probably should have done that and pushed it up a little bit more, especially for vacation, so there was a little more room in the back. But it fits car seats very well, easy to install. These are the captain's chairs. I don't think there's actually an option on the Onyx to get the bench, so look into that, but easy to install, easy to get in there. Now the back row, the third row, we don't use very often. We did use it on vacation a tiny bit, but that's the seat that we used, and it was, as my wife would say, she's a little taller, she's like 5'10". She said it was very uncomfortable, so probably should have moved that seat up, but our 3-year-old was rear facing. Actually, he's almost 3.5 now. He was rear facing still when we went, just for some safety reasons. So there wasn't a whole lot of room. There could be more room now if we go to that side, because you can see we could boost this thing up a little bit and get a little bit more room there. We just didn't. Not really sure why we didn't, but we can move it up a lot now. We just have to readjust the car seat there. But as you can see, there's tons of room here. This is a fairly large car seat too. This is the Nuna Exec. Yes, these car seats are expensive if you look them up and comment below, but you get what you pay for in car seats, I will say that. We had some other ones before that we did not care for, so we upgraded to that. But doors really well. You do get the anchors in the door, which is a safety feature, and you usually don't get that on a lot of your smaller brands. I think a lot of the Japanese brands like Toyota and Honda are putting it in theirs. And then come to the back. So that gives you an idea of one seat is up, one's down, of how much room you do or don't have. So this is, we have this up because my wife's cousin recently went to the zoo with us, and she sat back here. She said it was okay, but she did not think it was comfortable. So this is essentially the type of room that you're looking at here. You do have tons of cup holders. I think Subaru announced that they have 19 cup holders in this thing, so you do have plenty of cup holders and room there, but she just said there wasn't enough leg room. We could have moved that forward, so we probably should have done that. But as you can see, when the third row is down, you have tons and tons of room. This is very similar to the Pilot and Telluride when it comes to trunk space. The MDX and the Highlander, I felt like didn't have as much. Mainly, they just felt like crammed down. They felt like the roof line here was like this far down, especially in the Highlander and the MDX. I just didn't, it felt like a 3-row Outback compared to me. Tons of storage. You have a little extra storage under here. You'll probably, if you can see, there's still a bunch of sand in there, which I did not vacuum up, but I probably should have. But you have that over there. You do not have a full-size spare tire, so if you're looking at the Onyx and like the Outback, it used to have a full-size spare. This one does not. You just have your standard spare there. But tons of room. This does just have the standard non-Harman Kardon stereo, so I think it's 6 speakers. But I think it sounds pretty good. So there's one over there. I don't know where they're at, but that does sound pretty good. But overall, we have been really happy with it. Let me give you an idea of what it, let's see if this actually works without playing any music or anything, to kind of get you an idea of what Apple CarPlay looks like. So it does take a second to connect. Let's see how long it connects. Watch, it won't work today. Oh, there it goes. So see, it connects pretty good. It's not, I wouldn't consider it to be laggy or anything. I mean, I think it works as it should. But I find that it works just fine. Changing songs, there is a little bit of lag when it comes to just playing. Oh, Wheels on the Bus. You can tell you have kids when you have their songs integrated into your stuff. But this is where you would like turn on your heat, air, all that stuff down here. It's a little bit of a pain to do, but once it gets started and the system gets booted up, it's not too bad. But you do have these to change your temperature there. It is a little annoying. Also, the settings are a little bit, I would say cumbersome, but once you get things set up, you don't really have to mess with it. So if you want to go to the settings, as you can see, there was a little bit of delay there and change stuff in here. Once you get it set, I never go in here unless we go to phone and switch to my wife's phone under managed devices. But besides that, we don't ever usually get in there. I have everything set up perfectly the way I want it, so that's usually all we do with that. This thing does beep at you a lot, so as you can tell, it's beeping at me. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's beeping at me. But that's it. We have been really happy with this vehicle. This is going to be our long-term keeper. Even if my wife does plan on getting a minivan, mainly because of how much we like to travel, and she did say it was she looked at the Toyota Sienna, and I think that's going to be, once she gets her CRV paid off, maybe the next 3 to 5 years, she'll probably get that. And I still will probably keep this. She kind of threw a curveball at me because I honestly thought that she was going to keep her CRV forever. And this would be our big vehicle, but she really wants a minivan, so that'd probably be the route she goes. But I still probably plan on keeping this. It's an excellent vehicle. Our lease buyout is going to be, at least from the math I did, pretty reasonable and within reason. And I just really think that it'd be nice. We have 2 kids, tons of cousins, I think 6 cousins. Big family, we like to do family stuff, we like to travel. My wife's family is also really large, so this will be a good way to haul people around. The one thing that I will change the second I get the approval is I will put different tires on here. These tires are fine, but I don't think they'll do all that great in the winter. I really like the Michelin Cross Climates 2s, but we'll cross that path when winter gets here, and it's currently not winter. It's like 90 degrees and humid right now. But that's it. If you have any comments, questions, leave them below. One other thing that I did mention, gas mileage on this is not good. If you're wanting gas mileage, good gas mileage, get the Toyota Highlander hybrid. I think the Pilot and Telluride are gonna probably get the same. It says it's supposed to get like 24, I think, 23 and 20, 23 and 28, 23 and 26, but I think I'm getting like, I think my last fuel thing was like 17 something. My commute is very short to work, all back roads, stop and go. So it doesn't usually get up to temperature even by the time I get to work. I think the best we got on vacation with one fuel tank was 22, 21. But that's it. I love the look of the Onyx over the other ones. I do not like the chrome. So if I was getting one, I would get an Onyx. If you want leather, get the Limited. If you want all the fancy stuff, get the Limited Onyx. But it's kind of expensive. But this is probably the most, I don't think I'd get anything more expensive than this. I thought that I would not like the stereo because I previously had the Harman Kardon in my Forester. But it sounds pretty good. So that's it. Comments, questions, leave them below and I will get back to you. Sorry I haven't done any videos in a while, but here it is. Have a good day.